What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined today by a very special new guest, Zay.
What's happening, y'all?
It's good, bro.
Man, not much. How you feeling, bro?
Man, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you, man. Listen, we have a fantastic discussion for you guys today. So Zay came through, we was busting it up, we was catching up, and we started to get on the topic of the difference between men and women, guys and girls, as they are in the dating game. So we're gonna get into that in a quick second. But Zay, you working on a new project, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just released a new project called Do Your Thing, man. It's called Do Your Thing. I go by Zay Finale. That's my performance name. And you can find me on all streaming platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music. Check me out, Zay Finale.
Listen, I'm gonna put, a quick clip in.
Good music, I make it.
Sure.
Yeah. Bad bone, red bone, like that. I just made it right back. I don't do the side chat. Hi, mom, look where I'm at. There's more inside that. She get tapped like hi-hat. Never had a Snapchat. Just like that, yeah, like that. Don't complain. I get none like Novocaine. No, I do not know your name. Different city, different titties, but they all look all the same. That boy good like cock grains. That boy real, he'll never change. I can't buy no wedding ring.
Listen, there's a lot of times where people come up and they're just like, yo, I got some new music. But like, I listen to it, I'm like, yo, he's got some fire. He's got some fire.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So feel free to go check that out. All right, so Zay, we started having this conversation and it was so good. And we want to be able to spread the knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
So again, doubling back, the difference in the dating game when a guy is dating versus a woman is dating, what's the difference to you?
So when we were talking, I told you I kind of came to this revelation, not too long ago. And I was saying that the difference between, a guy and a girl in the dating scene is that a guy, she's much more relationship driven. As where a guy is much more friendship driven. So when the two come together, there's automatically going to be a disconnect.
Yeah, that's real. The thing is, when he said that, when he spoke that, I thought to myself like, yeah, you're right. Like when I'm meeting somebody and I'm trying to get to know them, like I'm not thinking like relationship. Like this is the reason why I'm trying to meet you is for a relationship. Like I'm first trying to understand. Like as a human being, like as a person, as a potential friend, like who are you? And like I mentioned before, I was like, yeah, because really the best, like if I could take my best guy friends and then like strip out that I ever knew them, give them female parts and a female look, like those are the personalities that I'd be most attracted to. You know what I'm saying? And without all the drama, all the emotion, all the BS, like without all of that, like that would be the best scenario, right? You know what I'm saying? I often find like the most attractive women to me are those that are not so reliant on their feelings and emotions, and they have a degree of purpose in their thought and meaning behind the things that they do, as what men always have to.
And you know what else, bro? Logic. You know what I'm saying? And logic, not so much in the sense of X's and O's, but logic in the sense of, okay, I'm feeling this way. Let me get into his shoes and see how he's feeling as well.
Yeah.
Because we have to account for that every time when we're dealing, at least in my own account, I have to deal with, okay, how is this woman feeling as well? And I don't think that's reciprocated all the time.
That's real. That's real.
It's just honest.
Yeah. No, but honesty is the best policy. We got to talk about, like situations like this, because I feel like far too often we get caught up, and it's because her expectations of a relationship were there the entire time.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about like being close and meeting and but there's certain expectations of that. Like I have certain expectations of my friends. Right, but like those are not relationship expectations. So oftentimes those wires get crossed.
Absolutely.
And then you sitting there like looking at the destruction behind you, like, damn, what did I do to deserve all of that?
Yeah, and then you're playing this guessing game. Like, what did I do? Like, what, Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and so do you have like specific examples to share where you felt like you went in and it was completely different expectations, and if so, like what did you learn out those situations?
I'd be completely lying if I said every female that I've encountered had like a relationship minded type of approach, but I've definitely had the case where there were a few of them who did. And I guess one example I could bring up, there was this girl whose primary goal was to get married. And that was not what was on my agenda. You know what I'm saying? And if I was being honest, I liked her initially, or what attracted her to me was her physical appeal.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's just me being honest. But as well, I wanted to get to know her. I wanted to get like, what do you like to do? You know, this, that, and the third. But the whole time I felt as though she was kind of evaluating me to see how good of a husband I could potentially make.
She was marking her checks on her checklist.
Man, what? And that is something that is so off-putting to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like to feel like you're evaluating me and we've only known each other for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
That's real, and it's because and the thing is like it's a fine line that they have to draw, because I also do respect a woman that has goals in mind.
Right.
But then I often think back towards, well, why do you have those goals, right? Like, is marriage something that like you feel like is your purpose? Like, is kids is what you feel like is your purpose?
Man.
Right? Like, whatever the situation is. And I say that to say, like, you know, there's so many of us that are so held down by societal pressure, societal norms, cultural norms, in a way that is, you know, it's funny, like it's the information age right now. Like we are definitely going through it. We're getting information put to us at a rate that we've never seen before in the history of mankind. So now is the best time ever to really evaluate what are the things that you want for you. Like our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents didn't have that. They had paths laid out for them, and they meandered a little bit, you know, in certain paths. Like, you know, one path that just popped into my head, like, you know, that my parents' age probably went through was like interracial dating. Like that was new to them. Like that was a new thing. Like if you were interracial dating, it was like, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like, come on now.
Yeah, it don't matter what the flavor is.
It don't matter.
I mean, and I think if I could say anything to like the ladies, it's just like, regardless of your age, ladies, you are still valuable. Do not feel, if you're not 30 yet, that you have to reach this standard of getting married by 30. That's a myth. That is a pressure that's put on so many women, and it's just unfair. Because the truth of the matter is that you're taking an eternal oath with someone when you're getting married. That is not anything to be looked at lightly. So the person that you want to be with, you want to make sure that they're well equipped to be with you far beyond just the age of 30. But think about 40, 50, 60. You see what I'm saying? And if that takes time for you to acquire, the better. You know what I mean? Because in the time that you're waiting for your king, your husband, you're going to get better and better as you go. You see what I'm saying? So your value isn't based on your age. That's one of the biggest myths I think a lot of women fall into and they fall privy to that totally like destroys your psyche. Right. You know, so get away from that. That's not no.
So, and you said something about prize, like, and I want to remind the gentlemen that you are just as much as a prize as what they purport themselves to be. And don't lose sight of that, because I see far too often times we put them on a pedestal. And what you're doing is you're making them less attracted to you, because verbally they'll tell you that's what they want, right? They want the special treatment. They want the doors open, and they want all of these things, but it's not a necessity. It's like nice to haves in the short term. But in the long term, they start to lose respect for you because you start to place them above all of your other priorities. They're generally not with you because of the amount of how high you can place them on a pedestal. They generally want to be in and around the kingdom that you're creating. They love and respect kind of the effort and what you're doing in order to create a platform for yourself and to, you know, build a legacy for yourself. Like, and they are really attracted to the things that you do, right? Like, and if you have to deprioritize them, then that's something that you have to do. But I guarantee you, you will not lose them deprioritizing them. And in fact, more will come around. But I also wanted to touch back real quick. So you were saying the value of a woman is not time. It's not on a time horizon. No. But I will say, and we can have a debate on this real quick, is that the older, right, like after they hit what's, you know, metaphorically called like the wall, generally where you place them on the market value will begin to drop. And the thing is like what I was telling you about before, like, so the more that you build your kingdom out, the more attractive that they will find you.
Right.
So that's in acquiring assets, that's in acquiring knowledge. That only increases as men get older. Okay. But the things that you find valuable for women, like you said, like you first started to make contact with that last young lady because of her physical looks. Yeah. Physical looks do start to go down as time goes.
I could see that, but I think that is very much more based on the man's perspective. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Because, the woman that I brought up earlier, it was her physical beauty that first initiated kind of the attraction. But after that, you know what I'm saying, I was kind of trying to see where her mind was. And that's why I kind of said, as you grow in age, women, you also grow in wisdom. You also grow in understanding, you know what I mean? And I feel like for men, we don't always want to feel like we're always pouring into someone. We kind of want to be poured into as well. You know what I mean? And I feel like the more that a woman is able to build up her queendom, whatever that may be, that can only kind of enhance our kingdom. You see what I'm saying? I'm not someone who wants a woman who can only provide her physical beauty for me and then that's it. I want a woman who can enhance my kingdom. Yeah. And if that's by joining both our kingdom and our queendom together and becoming one, then I'm all for it.
That's real.
You see what I'm saying? So it depends on how mature the guy's mind is as well. Yeah. But the older that we become, you know what I mean? Yes, we're going to have more to our kingdom. But the older that you become, you're going to be able to see what's truly valuable within that king, and he will be able to do the same.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That so that there's an implicit assumption there that you need her to build your kingdom though.
I don't think I need her to build the kingdom. I think that she can enhance the kingdom. Okay. Those are totally two different things. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to be working regardless. I'm going to work and I'm going to build regardless. But if I get a woman who I can find that understands what hard work is and understands like what my agenda and my goals are, that's someone I want around. You know what I mean? Because like we were saying, like men are much more like friendship driven. Now, a lot of our friends, if you have a good circle, are guys who can boost you and push you towards the goals that you have set before yourself, right? Yeah. That's the same thing that you want in a partner. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is what you're defining is one of the greatest components of what I like to call a unicorn. Right? like because the thing is like I meet so many that either A, don't know how to treat a man, just off rip.
That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. And two, have no idea how they can enhance. And a lot of that no idea of how to enhance is because and honestly it's because I look young for my age, so I can dip down into the younger 20s, and there's not a lot that they can offer besides looks. Like you might come across ones that are really conscientious and working on themselves, and they could, or just inherently smart, and you can introduce situations to them not even be involved in the situation, and they can enhance it, right? Absolutely. Like in what you're talking about. But so what you talk about, I feel like it's so rare, I guess, like in the age range that I generally go. But the problem is if I go higher in that age range, like I still want the baddest, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm still looking for like that, the physical, but and I think a lot of women will also argue, well, my fertility isn't going to be as high the older I get. So that's why I'm rushing into finding a partner, because I want to have kids. I get that. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, the most valuable thing that you should be worried about is self. You know what I mean? And you can always adopt. You can always like find other options other than having like a biological kid. But if that's not what you want, I mean, it's a tough situation. I get it. But
you think it's a tougher situation than for men?
Yeah, because for men, we can always.
You know what
I'm saying? We can always kind of do our thing,
We got infinite time.
Yeah.
We got infinite time. We're creating resources. It's almost like, I hear what you're saying. I hear, I don't 100% agree with, it's like, if they focus completely on themselves and then they get 34, which, you know, at 34, that's what's
kind of the cutoff.
it's like a geriatric.
Yeah.
They define medical field. They define it as like a geriatric pregnancy.
All right.
If they start then, right? Like, there's a couple of dynamics that's happening. Number one, will they get what they want from, you know, from a checklist perspective? And let's say their checklist at 22 was 100 points long, and then at 34 it's like 10 points long, right? Like, will they get those things? And there's some that are just money driven, so they're okay with going to like a 60-year-old who's trying to double back 20, 30 years and has availability to be able to do that. Shout out to Diddy. You know what I'm saying? but the thing is like, it's like they're up against time to a point,
right?
And there's so many damn distractions, right? Like, you got, you know, a lot of these chicks that are slaves to Instagram over really slaves to being in the relationship that they're currently in.
That's a whole nother conversation.
It's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Like, why is your whole ass cheek out for everybody? Like, on social media right now, like,
That's
you
promo.
a slave to
It's
it.
promo.
It's promo. It's,
You dig. That's all that is.
That's
You know
all
what
it
I'm
is.
saying?
Like, they really not yours. You know what I mean?
She belonged to the what?
Hey.
You feel me?
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's tough when if you're a young woman and you don't have like a coach to like rein in whatever it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's they're up against time. I think we have it much better. I think we have it much easier.
Hey,
You know
but
what I'm
adoption is always a thing, though. I'm trying
is.
to tell you, you know.
It is.
You know.
But if your purpose in life is to you know,
have a child,
nurture,
I can understand that as well.
Throughout that came out your body. You know what I'm saying?
But do you always need a partner for that? Not necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the 50 Cent? Have a baby by me, baby.
Yeah,
Be a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just had a baby. And yeah, I know someone who did this. Like, I know someone. She's a career woman. Just make sure I had the mic on.
Oh yeah, that would have been crazy.
Oh man, I would have lost my mind. Damn, I would have lost my mind. It's happened to me once or twice. That's why I get scared now. But I have someone that I know in my life, and she's a career smart, super. She's an alpha. She's a woman alpha. I mean, if you just see her work, it's just impressive, right? Like, climb the corporate ladder really quick. She got to about 35 and was like, right? And then the person who she did right now, boom, went out and had a kid, had it out. And she, you know, has continued to climb the corporate ranks and doing exquisitely well. And, you know, the daughter now is like 10, 11, something like that, years old, and no child support, never. Never hit them up for money, nothing. Just wanted the complete situation, right. You know. And it just is what it is, and that's the decisions that she made in order to climb the ladder that quick, and you know, and just decided like, but this is one of my goals for my life, and
if you make that decision, just know that if you're making the decision to have a child, just know all of the, I don't want to say consequences because it's not really that, but just know all of the things on the back end that can pop up. You know what I mean? Because some of these guys, quite frankly, aren't shit.
Yeah.
If we just being honest, you know what I mean? So be careful with like who you do this with.
Yeah. And I don't agree, right? Because I feel like I feel like if it was a young boy and it's just her, you know, she may not necessarily have the tools unless she has great male influence around her.
Well, that's why I was saying if it's your decision to have the baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because in the example you were saying, she kind of got to a certain age and was like, I want to have a child. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just be careful who you decide to have the child with.
Right.
You know?
All right, so listen, we've all right, we're about 20 minutes in, so let's bring it all back. Let's bring it all full circle. Okay. We started off the conversation talking about friendships. That is what dudes typically go after, and then that's what attracts them to different people around them, like, you know, whether male, female, like it's the friendship component. But for women, we're saying that it's much more of a relationship is their focus. Any final thoughts on that, bro?
I say on both ends, you know, you have to be able to kind of be empathetic towards the other's kind of goals. You know what I mean? So if you're a guy, you have to be empathetic to the woman who is looking for a partner. You see what I'm saying? You have to be empathetic to a woman who's looking for a partner to be romantic with, and don't waste your time. You see what I'm saying? If you know that that's not what you necessarily want from her, say that up front. You know what I mean? Don't just have her like strung along. But as the woman, don't just be so gun-ho on being like, I need a husband, that you're not really being empathetic to the guy's goal of finding a lifelong friend. You know what I mean? So just be empathetic to both sides.
Yo, empathy there's a lost art to that. There's a lost art to, you know, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Because like from a man's perspective, like I get why why someone might have a goal of marriage, right? Like I get it. And I've talked about this on the show before, but you know, I recently linked up with somebody who, like, in the first time that I met her, the word marriage, she wasn't talking about she wanted to get married, but the word marriage came up 70 times in a conversation. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's something that's top of mind for her, because why else would it come up so actively in a conversation? Right. You know what I'm saying? So so I get it, you know, because, you know, the geriatric pregnancy, that's about at 34, and if you start hitting that wall, you know, it gets real.
For sure, but how unfair is it to put that amount of pressure on someone who doesn't necessarily have the same agenda? You know,
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair, and often it's going to end in divorce. Like a lot of that's the 50% divorce rate, and a lot of that is the 50% that stayed together. A lot of that leads to the unhappiness because you did it for the wrong reasons. She did it because she had this goal. He did it because his parents told him that he should do it, right? Like, or society told him that he should do it. And I think that just leads to a lot of inherent issues. It's kind of like, you know, what do you want to do?
Right.
We have lost, because it's so easy to look at all the information and things that's happening. You know, it's easy to look at all the information, but also you have access to the information. So you can self-select into the mentorship to understand you. And which is one of the I talk about this in channel too. Finding your meaning, finding your why, your purpose, whatever it is that you want to call it, is one of the most difficult things that you can ever start your journey on doing. And there's too many people that would sit up and watch football all day, every single weekend on football season, then spending time figuring out their why, writing it down. Writing down your goals, and then also what are the action steps that you need to do in order to get to that intended result. There's people that just will not do that. They just refuse.
But you know what? You know why there are a lot of people who refuse to do that? Because that requires digging up some of the things that you left in the past. So you don't necessarily want to go back and kind of confront the person that you used to be.
That's real.
So that's why.
Damn, that got super real. That's a whole other video, bro.
Man, it's all intertwined though. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a relationship isn't half of a person getting with another half of a person. It's one whole complete person getting with another whole complete person. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't expect this half person to get with this 3/4 of a person and expect the whole thing to work. It's not going to work. You need to make sure that you do the work intrinsically first, so that when you feel like, okay, I'm pretty much self-assured, that you can find somebody else who is self-assured as well. But the only way you can know if this person right here is self-assured is if you've already done that with yourself.
That's facts.
You see what I'm saying?
And you take this one, you take this other one. Like in my logical brain, it's like, okay, well, that's supposed to equal 2, but no. This equation has to equal 3. Like it has to be. There it is. You have to add this, and I know. I just blew the logic out of my rational subscriber's mind, but like this 1 + 1 has to be synergy. It has to be synergistic in nature. It has to equal 3. Yes. If it doesn't equal 3, then it doesn't make sense.
You know, and I'm a very God-fearing man. And one thing that my pastor said that kind of stuck and resonated with me, man, he was like, you know what? You should never give somebody else your heart. And initially that made everybody go like, well, what do you mean? He was like, for all the God-fearing people out there, you never want to give anybody your heart, because with men, with humans, anytime that you trust a human with anything, you're going to be disappointed. Flat out. But if you give God your heart, and that other person gives God their heart. Now, you guys have a common place of reference.
Yeah.
You guys now have both put your heart in God, so now you're not trusting, you know, the other person for the success of the relationship, but now you're trusting God with what happens with the result of the relationship, because you both gave your heart to God.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's how it should be. 1 + 1 really should be 3. You see what I'm saying?
I feel it.
It really should be.
Oh, you just took it full circle, bro. You just took it full circle.
1 + 1 should definitely be 3 in a relationship.
Let me ask you a quick question, and then we'll get at it. This should have been a damn live stream. This should have been a live stream. I gotta have you back for the live stream, bro.
I'm ready.
Listen, so I'm not that religious.
Okay.
I'll start off by saying that.
Neither am I.
The biblical order though says God, man, wife, or God, husband, wife.
Right.
So right, so God is number one, the husband pours into God, and then the wife pours into husband, which is different than the equation that you had earlier, which is husband and wife both pour into God. Seeing those two equations, right, like the 2 into 1 versus the latter, right, like, so I thought you were gonna say, yeah, I am a biblical dude, so I can give you an answer on this, but you may not be able to give me an answer on this.
I'm very much based in the Bible, but I am not religious. And religious is something totally different than relationship. That's a whole nother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I base my thing off of relationship with God. So the order in which you're referring to is like, in a family, it goes God, man, wife, and then so on, right?
Yeah, kids, and yeah.
But I think we get too caught up in like this like technical ladder. You know what I'm saying? Because this is just a way for us to understand kind of where things should be for order to sustain in the household. You see what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that 1 is greater than 2.
Yeah.
You know, without 1, 2 couldn't be, and without 2, or without, how can I say this? One can be 1 within itself. I don't even know how to explain this, but I know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Without 1, there is no 2. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But 2 is of greater value than 1. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that 2 is any greater than 1, because without 1, there would be no 2.
Yeah, you got me in a mind fuck right now.
And I know that probably sounds so confusing.
Yeah.
But let me say it one more time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that 1 is greater than 2 or 2 is greater than 1.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because without 1, there could be no 2. But 2 is of greater value than 1. But without that 1, there could be no 2. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like without the buttons, there would be no shirt.
There you go. You know what I mean? And if that's confusing for you, that's just something to ponder on.
I get it.
But that's the equation that we were speaking of. Because now we have this 1 with a man, 1 with a woman, but now this equals 3.
Yeah.
I know it's a total mindfuck what I just said.
No,
but the reason why it equals 3 is because you have to put that God into the equation.
I feel it, bro.
You see what I'm saying? So now that you guys, now that you both have God within,
yeah.
Now your focus is not on him, your focus is not on her, you are both focused on God. And now you can judge each other based off of a common ground.
Yeah, a baseline.
Yes, there's a baseline. There's something to point back to. Because humans are flawed. And exactly. That's why you never give your heart to another human. Yeah. You never want to do that.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
That's real. Zay!
My man.
Listen, man, we gotta do another one before you go.
Sure,
you know, we gotta keep the conversations going. Listen, this was a good one. We went all over the place. I have no idea what I'm gonna name the video. I'll figure it out. Yeah, no, you had fun,
a lot of fun.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we gotta do another one. Questions, comments, concerns, y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. I got a new Patreon. Go up there and continue to subscribe. Go out there and check out Zay's tape. Trust me, it's a good one.
Absolutely.
Until next time, you two.